Let me ask you a very uncomfortable question right at the beginning, and I need you to be completely honest with yourself before you keep watching. Have you noticed that even when you try to save, even when you try to get organized, even when you say now it's going to be different, you still end up in the same financial place you've always been? And more than that, have you ever felt like every time you start to improve a little something or someone pulls you right back into the same pattern? Have you felt like there's an invisible force keeping you exactly where you are? Like you're walking in circles working, paying bills, surviving, but never truly moving forward? Now here's the part you might not want to hear. What if that invisible force has a face, a name, a WhatsApp chat, a Sunday barbecue, and opinions that seem harmless? What if the people around you are keeping you poor-end? You don't even realize it. Before you think this is an exaggeration or that I'm blaming other people for your situation, I want you to stay until the end, because what I'm going to explain isn't about pointing fingers. It's about understanding a very deep psychological mechanism that happens quietly every single day and influences your decisions without you noticing. The problem isn't that someone wants to see you doing badly. The problem is that most people live in survival mode. And when you try to leave that mode, it makes people uncomfortable. And you feel that in real life. Think with me. You start saying you want to save. Someone replies, you're not a machine. You say you're not going out this weekend because you're getting your finances in order. Someone says, stop being cheap. You mention you want to save money so you can have peace of mind. You hear money is meant to be spent. You start studying personal finance. That's for rich people lower. Reality is different. See the pattern. Every time you try to change, there's a little pressure to stay the same. And the most dangerous part is that this pressure doesn't come as aggression. It comes as jokes, advice, and normalization. Everyone is in debt. That's just how life is. People who don't make much can never save. These phrases get repeated so many times, they become absolute truth inside your head. And once you believe them, you stop truly trying. There's a huge discomfort when someone in the group starts stepping out of the pattern. Because if you change, you become living proof that it's possible to do things differently. And that forces other people to look at their own choices, and almost nobody wants to do that. So without realizing it, people try to keep you at the same level as them, not out of conscious cruelty, but out of emotional self-protection. Now, I want you to think about the last financial decisions you made. Were they really yours? Or were they decisions influenced by your environment? That finance purchase, was it because you truly needed it? Or because everyone around you already had something similar and you didn't want to feel left out? That trip, was it planned? Or was it fear of looking like your life isn't interesting? That recurring expense, was it a necessity? Or was it a social habit? You think you choose alone, but humans have a massive need to belong. We'd rather be wrong with the group than right by ourselves. It's stronger than it seems, because being excluded hurts. Being labeled different is uncomfortable. Being the only one who doesn't participate feels heavy, so you pay to belong, literally. And the outcome is brutal. You work, get paid, pay bills, do little treats so you don't feel inferior, accept invitations so you don't look distant, finance things to keep up appearances, financially help people who never get organized, get pulled into shared debts, take on commitments that don't fit your butch tan at the end of the month. The feeling is always the same. I work so much and I'm still in the same place. But let me go even deeper, because the problem isn't just the money going out. It's the mindset coming in. If you spend every day around people who believe getting rich is luck, saving is impossible. Investing is for another world. Learning finance is a waste of time. You start absorbing that as normal. And when something is normal, you don't question it. You accept it. And here's the quietest part of all. You start shrinking your own goals so you don't feel out of place. You stop talking about your plans. You stop sharing your goals. You start laughing at your own ambitions just to look humble. And little by little, you start sabotaging yourself just to keep fitting in. That creates a massive internal conflict, because one part of you wants to grow, wants peace of mind, wants to stop feeling fear every time your phone buzzes with a bill notification. But another part is afraid of being alone, of looking arrogant, of being judged. And in that conflict, almost always the side that wins is the one that keeps temporary peace. But that peace is expensive. It costs years of your financial life. Now, pay attention to what I'm about to say, because it changes everything. Financial poverty is often maintained by invisible behavioral agreements inside groups. Nobody says it out loud, but everyone understands you can't rise too far above the average. If you earn a little more, you raise your lifestyle. If you save, you have to make up for it somewhere else. If you improve, you have to prove you're still the same. And you live like that, stuck under an invisible ceiling. It's not your paycheck that traps you. It's not only the government. It's not only the economy. It's the environment, the collective pattern, the shared mindset. And the scariest part is that you can love the people around you and at the same time be financially harmed by them. That doesn't mean you need to cut everyone off. It means you need to see it. Because once you see it, you stop acting on autopilot. And when you stop acting on autopilot, you start taking control. But the full turning point isn't even here yet because there's an even deeper detail that almost nobody notices. Your environment shapes not only your decisions, but your allowed level of ambition. If everyone around you complains about money but never changes anything, complaining becomes a way to connect. And if getting financially organized starts pulling you away from that connection, your brain reads it as social risk. And for a brain, social risk can feel almost as dangerous as physical risk. That's why changing is so hard. It's not lack of discipline. It's not laziness. It's an unconscious fear of losing belonging. And until you understand that, you keep thinking the problem is that you don't have enough willpower. You keep blaming yourself. You keep promising next month will be different. You keep starting and stopping. Now let me ask you something else. And I need you to answer honestly in your head. How many times have you avoided doing something financially smart because you were afraid of what people would think? How many times did you spend just to avoid feeling small? How many times did you accept a lifestyle that didn't fit your budget just so you wouldn't seem different? If that's ever happened to you, then you need to stay with me until the end. Because in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how to break this cycle without fighting anyone, without isolating yourself, but by changing the game from the inside out. Because the truth is hard but freeing. As long as you try to grow financially in the same mental environment that keeps everyone stuck, you'll always take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And that's not a coincidence. It's a pattern. Now take a deep breath and come with me. Because in the next part, I'm going to go even deeper into the root of this problem. And you may start noticing situations in your own life that seemed normal before, but were costing you way too much. I want you to picture a common scene. You get paid. For a few minutes, there's relief. Maybe even hope. This month, I'm going to do it differently. But before you even sit down to organize, the messages start, the invites, the comparisons. Someone shows what they bought. Someone complains they're broke, but shows up with something new. Someone suggests a group expense. And suddenly that quiet intention to get organized starts weakening. You think, I deserve it too. And you do deserve it. The problem is, you start using I deserve it as a justification to repeat the same cycle. And nobody around you is going to stop you. If anything, many will encourage it. There's a quiet culture of normalizing financial disorganization. Financing everything became normal. Living on the edge became routine. Not knowing what you owe became common. And when something becomes common, it stops being scary. But just because it's common doesn't mean it's healthy. Now think how many money conversations you've had that ended in jokes or a resignation. Almost never do they end with a plan. Almost never do they end with strategy. Because strategy requires responsibility. And responsibility hurts. So what do people do? They turn the struggle into identity. I'm just bad with money. I can never save. That's just how I am. And when you start acting differently, you threaten that collective identity. Maybe you've never thought about it this way, but growing financially can make comfortable people uncomfortable. And to reduce that discomfort, they try to pull you back down to the old level. It happens through subtle comments, disguised criticism, repeated jokes, emotional pressure, and if you're not aware of it, you give in. Not because you're weak, but because you want to keep belonging. But here's a question that truly matters. How long are you going to keep paying the price of acceptance with your financial peace? Because at the end of the day, when the bills arrive, when anxiety hits, when fear of the future shows up, you're alone with your worries. The group doesn't feel your doisame stress. The group doesn't fix your lack of an emergency fund. The group doesn't pay your bills. And that's where a different awareness starts to be born. The awareness that maybe, just maybe, you need to adjust the mental environment around you before you try to adjust the numbers in your bank account. But this is only the beginning. There's still a deeper layer that explains why. Even after realizing all of this, you keep repeating patterns. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you next. So now I need you to pay even closer attention, because what I'm about to show you is the part almost nobody has the courage to say out loud. Have you noticed that when someone in your circle starts doing better financially, there's a weird vibe in the air? It's not explicit, nobody says it directly, but behavior changes. Comments show up like, oh, so you're rich now. You changed after you started making more. You're getting full of yourself. And even if it's just a joke, there's a hidden message. Don't rise too far above the group's limit. That creates something very powerful, an invisible social ceiling. It's like there's a maximum level of growth allowed in that environment. You can improve a little, but you can't change too much. You can earn a little more, but you can't think too differently. You can organize a little, but you can't become the finance guy. And here's the silent problem. To avoid making people uncomfortable, you start controlling yourself. You stop talking about goals. You stop sharing what you're learning. You stop saying you're saving. And even worse, you start relaxing your own plans so you don't create distance. That's extremely dangerous because it feels small, but it has a cumulative effect. One invitation you accept so you don't look distant. One expense you make so you don't feel out of place. One financial help you offer out of guilt. One purchase you make so you don't feel inferior. When you add all of that up over months and years, you realize it wasn't one big mistake that kept you poor. It was small, repeated concessions. And let me deepen something important. Many times, the people around you aren't keeping you poor only by encouraging spending. They're doing something even stronger, reinforcing limiting beliefs about money. Phrases like, money changes people. Anyone who gets rich steps on others. Rich people are all the same. That's not for people like us, seem harmless, but they shape your worldview. And if deep down you start associating financial growth with losing your identity or your values, you'll never fully allow yourself to grow, because your brain will protect your identity before it protects your bank account.